these 3 or 4 days in Guadalajara, how do you feel about safety here?
I think good morning from our last morning in Guadalajara. We've had the best time and we have one more chance to explore this morning. We're not taking it for granted.
We don't know what we're gonna do today.
Oh, I'm ready for these to be over. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're gonna walk around a little bit. We only have about 2 hours to explore before we need to catch the plane.
Plenty of time.
So I think we might get some coffee, we might people watch. We're gonna try and take some good vids, give you some of our final closing thoughts on what we think about Guadalajara.
Oh my gosh, let's go. So when we first went to Vallarta, I thought, this is Mexico. This is what all of Mexico looks like. And so I sort of had that in my mind. I knew there would be no water, obviously, but before we came here, I sort of expected it to be the same, just because that was really mostly what we know about Mexico. However, it is very different. Obviously the buildings and some of the architecture is a lot older. The open space here is really crazy. There are fountains and statues and monuments everywhere. We haven't seen a whole lot of that in Vallarta. Another thing that's so very different from anything we've seen in Vallarta is the architecture. The buildings here are really, really old. They remind me of something you'd see in Europe, but you don't have to go to Europe to see buildings that are beautiful.
It's a little late in the vlog to say this, but if you're new around here, I'm Greg.
I'm Hillary.
We live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, but we're in Guadalajara for just a quick trip. And if you like Mexico, if you like traveling, if you like learning from 2 Gringos' mistakes while in Mexico, consider subscribing. Now, in today's video, we've showed a lot of these same clips and views and sites. So if you've seen the past videos, some of the clips are going to be similar, but we're going to try and give you some different information through my questions to La Güera. Okay, okay, Güera. Now, what have we? For someone that's going to come to Guadalajara that's never been here, maybe even never been to Mexico, what would you suggest them do that we've done, or what would be a few suggestions you have?
Sure. I think, so we chose to stay in the downtown area, and I think this area is great because it's very, very walkable, tons of restaurants, live music, street performers, everything's right here, very centrally located. You shouldn't ever need to take an Uber or a taxi if you don't want to. We could have spent our entire 4 days down here. Right. Obviously, a lot of the historical buildings are right here, right outside. So I would recommend staying in the downtown area. However, after visiting Tlaquepaque yesterday, we want to go back and stay there. But I think for a first time visit like us, I think the Centro area was perfect to stay in. I would highly recommend doing a bit of research so that way you get to see all the buildings, and knowing a little bit of history behind the buildings I think goes a long way. I know we did some quick research while we were here, but I think getting a full appreciation for what you're looking at really makes it that much more meaningful if you know a little bit about what you're looking at. Last time we did the horse-drawn carriage ride. I would highly recommend that. It was 200 pesos for 30 minutes, and that was a great way. The guide did a great job explaining
in Spanish,
the buildings and what we were looking at, and sort of like I mentioned, the history. But I think that was a really cool way to get to see a lot of the downtown area. What do you want to get?
They came to crepes Alfredo.
No, croissants.
Oh, croissants Alfredo. Whoops.
Where's the Fredo at, though?
I'm afraid there is not. What do we go with? Okay, you don't need sugar.
Sugar thing number one?
We don't know what that is. This is a chocolate croissant.
Look back there.
Oh, even more. No coffee here though. You're not allowed to get coffee.
This is so heavy. It's about to be right there.
Now, we weren't even hungry, but Hillary's been wanting to go to this croissant Alfredo place the entire time since we got here. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
It's like butter. All it is butter with sugar.
We're gonna eat our croissants. When we return, we're going to talk about safety in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
2 important questions. Well, really just 1 important question. But first, least important, how is the croissant?
Oh, wow. It was really, really good. There was so much chocolate in there. I feel like there was this much chocolate cream. Well, worth 10 pesos, that's for sure.
Now, the actual important question, in these 3 or 4 days in Guadalajara, how do you feel about safety here?
I think,
Maybe say
unlike my
first.
buttered bread, I won't sugarcoat things. I think Greg and I feel the same in Guadalajara as we feel in New York City. And by that I mean, we are very well aware of our surroundings. We're constantly sort of like monitoring things. We have a very I feel like it's innate human to tell if somebody's a little too close to you, we'll step aside. So all those sort of same nervous feelings in any big city are there because there are 6 million people here. So that said, we feel safe walking around in parks. We're not wandering off the beaten path anywhere. We would never do that anywhere we visit. So I think we feel extremely safe. Another fact I wanted to mention is Guadalajara was not included in the United States travel warning. It mentions it, and that travel warning is a little weird. We have a whole video about that.
Yeah.
Guadalajara was not included in that warning, so just want to make sure everyone knows that.
To Vallarta, what do you feel about cost of living in terms of eating out, things to do, restaurants, that kind of thing?
I think so. We have thought this whole time that Vallarta is very inexpensive, and it is compared to Dallas. However, after coming to Guadalajara, the prices here, we can't really speak for actual cost of living as rent or mortgage payments, but eating out and shopping seem to be much less than the cost of Vallarta. So I would say in Vallarta, to me, anything less than 100 pesos, around 100 pesos is decently priced. And here I think
for a sit-down restaurant.
For a sit-down restaurant. And I think 100 pesos for a sit-down restaurant in Vallarta is cheap.
Yeah.
Here, however, I think our most expensive meal has been $2.20 total. So I think here the prices seem to range between 50 and 80 for the same meal.
So say maybe 60 pesos a person for
So the cost seemed to be maybe about 60 to 80%. I don't know. You guys tell us, but surprisingly, it's way cheaper in Guadalajara than Vallarta. So now Vallarta seems fancy.
Well, we're finishing off our Guadalajara trip.
Fancy. This is how we always roll.
Some cappuccino, and I got a cafe con leche.
Just what we
She
need.
got a cappuccino actually with some almond syrup in there. More sugar, more syrup is what Hillary needs.
Well, well, well. All good things must come to an end, and we're about to leave Guadalajara.
Guadalajara.
And the road seems to be closed outside, so we're not sure if it's either a parade.
We don't know.
We don't know what's happening.
As long as we can get an Uber. Thank you so much for sharing Guadalajara with us. It was even more fun than we could have expected.
Yeah, we really did have the best time here.
And thank you for sharing Mexico with us. Of course, we're obviously having a blast, and we're not leaving Mexico. We are flying back to Vallarta. Now, we're gonna leave you here in Guadalajara I don't know, hopefully you'll go to Vallarta with us. I don't know how you're gonna get there. You can take a bus, you can take a train, you can hitchhike. I don't care how you get there, but I think you should follow us.
Yeah, either way, we'll be at the beach later this afternoon.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell that way you get notified
every time
we upload a new video, and we will see ya mañana en la playa.
Bye-bye.